Right now, as you hear these words, someone is silently trying to measure you. They are reading your tone, your gestures, and your expressions in search of weakness. They don't want your joy or success. They want leverage, the ability to move you like a piece on their board. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago as rulers rose and fell at alarming speed. He understood that power is rarely lost in battle, but in the exposure of the mind. The predictable man is fragile, and the fragile man is ruled, while the unreadable man remains sovereign. Imagine the opposite of fragility: silence that creates discomfort, stillness that unsettles others, and mystery that no one can decode. The untouchable man is unshaken, immune to manipulation and free of strings. His strength lies not in violence, but in sovereignty of the self. From birth, society trains us to be touchable. We are rewarded for obedience, punished for resistance, and applauded when we bend to please. This conditioning makes us predictable, and predictability makes us controllable, exactly what Machiavelli warned against. He wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved, for love makes you vulnerable, while fear grants sovereignty. The untouchable man does not crave affection or approval. He carries his worth within, and his silence becomes both armor and weapon. Most people are easy to play, like instruments, and insult makes them rage, and flattery makes them soften. Their predictability makes them dependent, and dependency destroys power. The untouchable man, however, owns his inner world and cannot be swayed. It begins with a single decision: kill the need to be liked. The moment you release the craving for validation, you cut the strings that others use to pull you. You stop being a puppet, stop being entertainment, and stop being their emotional toy. This is why the untouchable mindset feels threatening to others. It removes the hooks they once buried into your soul, making you unreadable and unpredictable. And unpredictability terrifies manipulators more than anything else. Machiavelli taught that a prince must never be fully understood. Predictability is the death of power, and every explanation is a surrender of leverage. The untouchable man lets mystery do the work that words never could. There is immense power in detachment. When detached, insults fall flat and flattery fails to seduce. You are no longer programmable by either love or hate, but instead become sovereign in your silence. Machiavelli called this the control of appearances. You show only what strengthens you and conceal what weakens you. This uncertainty plants fear and eventually blossoms into respect. Most people are mirrors, reflecting whatever is thrown at them. This predictability keeps them ordinary, because the ordinary can always be mapped. The untouchable man is not a mirror, but a wall, unmoved by insults, untouched by praise. If someone calls you arrogant and you defend yourself, you confirm their control, but approval to rulers relying on mercenaries, strong today, powerless tomorrow. The untouchable man refuses borrowed strength and builds worth entirely from within. History proves it. Rulers who revealed too much fell quickly, while those who wielded silence endured. They commanded with presence, not with explanations, and power followed their unpredictability. Humans despise what they cannot control, yet they respect it. Respect, not affection, is the true foundation of lasting power. The untouchable man doesn't beg for respect. He naturally forces it through presence and silence. Ordinary men argue, defend, and react. The untouchable man doesn't need to win arguments. He's already won by mastering himself. This mastery is the shield that makes him unplayable. Think of the times you over-explained or rushed to defend yourself, only to feel weaker. Now imagine doing the opposite, saying nothing, letting others drown in their assumptions. That silence becomes your sharpest blade. This is Machiavelli's hidden truth. It is not the loudest or strongest man who wins, but the most unreadable. Predictability is weakness, but mystery is power. People will always test you through insults, temptations, or flattery. They want to see if you can be moved. The untouchable man bends when he chooses, not when others demand, and his mystery forces hesitation. In hesitation, he gains time. In silence, he gains control. And in unreadability, he gains power. For no one can fight an enemy they cannot predict. In today's world of overexposure, the man who withholds becomes rare, and rarity creates value. The untouchable mindset is the art of withholding, not from fear, but from strategy, and not to hide weakness, but to magnify strength. You must become a mystery in plain sight, calm when they expect anger, silent when they expect defense. This reversal collapses their predictions and forces them to see you as power, not prey. Power is perception, Machiavelli reminds us. Control what they see, and you control how they treat you. Show nothing exploitable, and you leave them guessing. The untouchable man disciplines every emotion. His anger is not an outburst, but a calculated storm. His joy is quiet confidence, and his sadness is private reflection. Nothing is wasted, nothing is uncontrolled, and so he becomes truly untouchable, because what can be taken from a man who holds his worth within? What can be done to someone who does not rush to defend himself? This is the essence of Machiavelli's blueprint. Silence becomes armor, unpredictability becomes shield, and restraint becomes sword. It is not the absence of power, but the perfection of it. When you practice it, people will feel the shift. They will sense the difference, respect it, fear it, and test it, but never control it. Because the untouchable man has already won the most important battle, mastery over himself. And once you win that battle, no one can play you. The untouchable mindset is not rooted in arrogance or cruelty, but in mastery of self. It is about detaching so completely from the need for approval that no one can trap you. Detachment does not mean you lack emotions, it means you own them rather than being owned. Machiavelli observed that rulers who depended on affection were destined to collapse. He knew that people are fickle, loyal when convenient, and treacherous when tempted. Depending on affection is like depending on the weather to stay calm forever. Detachment frees you from this instability and grants you an anchor in every storm. When you are detached, you see clearly while others drown in emotional impulses. Your vision stays sharp because you no longer crave external reassurance to move forward. Consider the power of envy, one of the darkest poisons in human interaction. Most people collapse under envy and desperately explain themselves to reduce hostility. The untouchable man, however, never explains and allows envy to suffocate on its own. This is why Machiavelli insisted that appearances must be carefully controlled at all times. When you allow others to define your image, you become enslaved to their perception. But when you shape your image deliberately, you remain sovereign over their judgments. The untouchable mindset reveals strength but conceals vulnerabilities that others could exploit. It allows you to show calm on the surface while storms rage silently within you. By doing this, you create uncertainty in others, and uncertainty always creates respect. Uncertainty is the most underrated form of power in human relationships. When people cannot clearly read your intentions, they hesitate before making moves. That hesitation becomes your shield, buying you time and forcing them into weakness. Think about the way predators stalk their prey in silence before striking. The lion does not roar while hunting, it waits patiently in shadow before the leap. It is the silence before action that paralyzes the prey with invisible fear. The untouchable man embodies that principle in every sphere of life. He speaks without haste, acts without warning, and moves without broadcasting his intent. His unpredictability disables the calculations of those who wish to control him. This unpredictability is not the same as reckless chaos or blind impulse. Every silence, every refusal to explain, and every delayed reaction is deliberate. Each action silently communicates, you cannot read me, and therefore you cannot rule me. People will always try to categorize and label you for their own advantage. They want to know if you are a friend, an enemy, a subordinate, or a pawn. Certainty gives them control, but uncertainty strips away their ability to predict. The untouchable man denies them the satisfaction of certainty in every encounter. He cannot be boxed neatly into their definitions, and this unsettles their expectations. He is both close and distant, approachable yet impenetrable, visible but unreadable. Machiavelli believed that fear lasts longer than love in the hearts of people. Affection can vanish overnight, but fear rooted in uncertainty grows stronger with time. The untouchable mindset thrives on this uncertainty, turning it into a quiet advantage. Fear here does not mean terror or violent intimidation in the brutal sense. It means the respect that arises from unpredictability and disciplined emotional restraint. It means people hesitate before crossing you because they cannot map your reactions. The ordinary man is reactive and predictable in every confrontation he faces. He defends himself instantly when accused, and he crumbles under the weight of insults. He becomes emotionally naked because everyone knows exactly which buttons to press. The untouchable man is never reactive but always deliberate in his every move. He does not hand people his buttons and allow them to push for amusement or control. Instead, he forces them into uncertainty by making them question their own strategies. This creates a unique aura around him that few can ever replicate. People sense that he cannot be shaken, bribed, or emotionally blackmailed. They may not fully understand it, but they instinctively recognize his strength. Machiavelli would remind us that perception is just as important as reality. Even if you feel moments of doubt internally, you must never show it externally. To remain untouchable, you must manage appearances with the discipline of a ruler. This discipline requires constant awareness of your behavior and your words. It demands that you know when to speak, when to act, and when to remain still. It requires you to understand that silence often says more than explanation ever could. The untouchable mindset makes you a mirror others cannot read. When they look at you, they see only their own uncertainty reflected back. This reflection unsettles them and forces them to reconsider how they approach you. In a world that values exposure and constant validation, mystery becomes a weapon. Everyone today overshares, exposes weaknesses, and begs for public approval. The man who withholds becomes rare, and rarity always creates value. Rarity makes people curious, and curiosity often leads to respect or even fear. They wonder what you know, what you think, and what you are planning next. That wondering is the exact energy that keeps you untouchable and unplayable. This is why the untouchable mindset is a fortress in the modern age. It is not built of stone or steel, but of silence, mystery, and self-discipline. It is a fortress no enemy can penetrate because it does not reveal its gates. The untouchable mindset is built not only on detachment, but also on silence. Silence is not weakness, but the most strategic response a man can offer. Silence forces others to reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. Machiavelli valued silence because words are weapons that can betray their wielder. The more a ruler speaks, the more ammunition he provides his enemies. The less he says, the more others fill the gaps with their own uncertainty. People rush to explain themselves because they fear being misunderstood. They believe that without constant clarification, their image will collapse. But every explanation reveals more of their weakness, making them touchable again. The untouchable man does not rush to clarify every rumor or defend every attack. He knows that silence itself can dismantle falsehoods more effectively than argument. He lets the weight of uncertainty exhaust the gossipers and expose their own intent. This is how silence becomes a psychological trap for the manipulative. When they provoke you and you do not respond, they lose their weapon. Their energy collapses into frustration because they cannot play your strings. Machiavelli would say that this silence is not passive but active strategy. It is the art of ruling without lifting a sword, of commanding without words. It is letting your absence of reaction weigh heavier than another man's speech. But silence alone is not enough to become truly untouchable. It must be combined with the aura of mystery that surrounds the disciplined man. Mystery creates value because people always want what they cannot fully understand. Think about how the rarest gems are locked away from common eyes. Their scarcity makes them priceless, and their inaccessibility makes them desired. The untouchable man becomes such a gem, visible yet never fully within reach. Machiavelli observed that rulers must never become too familiar with the people. Familiarity breeds contempt, and contempt dissolves respect. The more people see of you, the more they take you for granted. Mystery breaks this cycle and restores the aura of significance. When people cannot predict you, they are forced to approach with caution. That caution is the soil in which respect and fear silently grow. The untouchable man does not reveal his entire life for consumption. He does not hand out his secrets cheaply, nor expose his every thought. He knows that the more people know, the more they can calculate against him. The digital world thrives on exposure and constant broadcasting of the self. Everyone is desperate to be seen, liked, validated, and remembered. But the man who withholds becomes magnetic because he resists this culture of exposure. Mystery makes people curious, and curiosity makes them cautious in their approach. They wonder if you know more than you show, or if you see what they miss. This wondering shifts the balance of power silently in your favor. Machiavelli's blueprint demands that you cultivate an image larger than explanation. It means you project calm authority without revealing your fragile inner storms. It means you allow perception to do the work while you control reality beneath it. Consider the leader who never reacts with desperation to rumors or attacks. His silence forces others to question their own conclusions about him. They begin to doubt themselves because he refuses to confirm or deny. That doubt is a subtle form of power, a weapon sharper than the sword. It prevents them from striking with confidence because they fear the unknown. And fear of the unknown makes them hesitate, while hesitation makes you untouchable. The untouchable man also understands timing in every movement he makes. He does not rush into conversations, arguments, or confrontations without purpose. He knows that every delay unsettles others and multiplies their uncertainty. This control of timing makes him appear as if he sees further ahead. It convinces others that he acts from knowledge rather than impulse. Even when he chooses silence, it feels like a move rather than inaction. Machiavelli emphasized that appearances must be carefully engineered. The people do not see your intentions, they see only your performance. And performance is always judged by how you manage your image. The untouchable mindset is the conscious crafting of that performance. It is not about deception for its own sake, but about sovereignty of self. It ensures that no one else has the power to narrate your story. You must learn to use silence as a shield and mystery as a sword. Silence protects you from exposure, and mystery makes others cautious. Together, they create the aura that Machiavelli would call the foundation of power. Think about the difference between a beggar and a ruler. The beggar explains, pleads, and exposes himself in every word. The ruler withholds, commands, and lets others project their assumptions. The untouchable man becomes like the ruler, even in ordinary life. He does not overshare his plans, his weaknesses, or his desires. He understands that the more others know, the easier he becomes to play, and so he practices restraint in every sphere of existence. His words are few but precise, his actions rare but decisive. Every gesture becomes intentional, every silence becomes loaded with weight. This restraint does not make him less human but more formidable. It transforms ordinary interactions into psychological battlegrounds. It allows him to walk into a room and command it without speaking. The ordinary man may laugh loudly to show confidence. The untouchable man smiles quietly, making others wonder what he knows. That quiet smile unsettles them far more than any loud boast could. This is the Machiavellian art of controlling perception. You show the surface while hiding the core, letting people see only fragments. Fragments confuse, and confusion strengthens your untouchable aura. Machiavelli understood that those who are hardest to read are hardest to betray. When no one knows your true desires, they cannot twist them against you. When no one knows your true weaknesses, they cannot weaponize them. This is why silence and mystery together are more powerful than open explanation. They make you a fortress no one can map and no one can breach. They turn you into the rare figure others fear, respect, and hesitate to test. The untouchable mindset reaches its peak when you become fully unplayable. To be unplayable means that no one can move you like a pawn on their board. You dictate your own movements while others are forced to adjust to you. Machiavelli saw rulers destroyed because they were too easily manipulated. Flattery made them weak, insults made them rash, and affection made them blind. The unplayable man rises above these traps and governs himself absolutely. To become unplayable, you must first master emotional sovereignty. Every insult, compliment, and provocation must pass through your discipline. You cannot be a slave to your feelings if you wish to command respect. The ordinary man is a puppet of circumstance and reacts without thinking. When praised, he swells with pride. When mocked, he crumbles in anger. Because he is reactive, anyone who understands his buttons can control him. The unplayable man cuts those strings with deliberate mastery of self. He pauses where others react. He reflects where others explode. He waits where others rush. In that pause, he gains clarity, and in clarity, he gains command. This pause is more than self-control. It is a weapon in itself. By delaying your reaction, you force others to reveal their strategy. Their eagerness exposes them, while your calm shields you from their manipulation. Machiavelli would say that patience is a ruler's greatest armor. The ability to wait without revealing weakness terrifies opponents. They do not know if you are planning retaliation or granting mercy. Uncertainty poisons their confidence, and doubt weakens their resolve against you. They begin to question themselves more than they question you, and when they doubt themselves, they hand you silent victory. To be unplayable also means mastering the art of selective engagement. Not every battle deserves your energy, and not every challenge requires response. The untouchable man chooses carefully, and his choices magnify his power. When you fight every battle, you exhaust yourself and lose respect. When you fight only the necessary battles, each strike becomes unforgettable. Your silence in small matters makes your action in big matters devastating. This is the difference between noise and impact. The noisy man is predictable and eventually ignored. The silent man who chooses his moments shakes the ground when he acts. Machiavelli advised rulers to be both fox and lion. The fox avoids traps with cunning, and the lion terrifies enemies with strength. To be unplayable, you must combine both, unseen yet unforgettable. The untouchable mindset also requires independence from external anchors. Wealth, popularity, and alliances may shift, but sovereignty must remain. You must hold value even when stripped of applause, luxury, or approval. Consider the man who loses fortune but keeps his discipline intact. Though robbed of wealth, he remains unshaken because his strength is inward. He is still feared and respected because nothing external defined his worth. This inner sovereignty is what Machiavelli called true power. A ruler who leans entirely on others is already half defeated, but a man who stands alone, unshaken, is immune to betrayal. To be unplayable is to be beyond manipulation by friend or enemy. You cannot be bribed with empty flattery, nor broken with hostile words. You cannot be guilted into surrender, nor pressured into compromise. People will call you cold when they cannot control you. They will call you arrogant when they cannot predict you. They will call you ruthless when they realize you cannot be played. But their words are powerless against the man who governs himself. Their judgments are noise against the silence of inner sovereignty, and silence is always louder than their attempts at control. The unplayable man becomes a paradox to those around him. He is calm but powerful, silent but commanding, detached but magnetic. His mystery draws people in, even while his discipline keeps them cautious. Machiavelli knew that such men are rare, but they endure the storms of history. While others crumble in scandal, betrayal, or the shifting moods of the crowd, they remain. Their strength lies not in the applause of the masses, but in the fortress of the self. This fortress cannot be stormed because its gates are invisible. It cannot be bribed because its currency is discipline. It cannot be broken because its foundation is silence and detachment.